Welcome to Sports Talk with RJ. I'm Steve Risser, along with Justin, and we have Rets Championship Week, and we got a busy show with previewing all the conference tournaments. But we got to start with the Big East tournament. We got to start with the Big East tournament, and we got to start with Uconn. And the big question going to the Big East tournament for Uconn is: should they be the favorite? Should they be the favorites? Seeing their poor performance on Saturday, and that was a poor performance against Marquette on Saturday. Very poor performance, especially with a week to prepare, and they cost themselves a share of the Big East regular season championship. So a very poor performance for Uconn there. And really, the question is, should they be the favorite to win the Big East tournament? And I'm still going to say yes. I'm still going to say yes because, let's be honest, the Big East is the worst Power Five. Now, they wouldn't be the favorite to win any of the SEC. They wouldn't be the favorite to win the Big 12. They wouldn't be the favorite to win the Big 10. And they wouldn't be the big favorite to win the ACC. But in this conference, they are the favorite because this is the worst Power Five conference in college basketball. So I would say yes, seeing the way they beat St. John's too a couple weeks ago. So, and I don't think St. John's, even though I don't think they're a great team either. They're the second best team in the conference. So I would say yes. I think they should be the favorite to win the Big East tournament.
I'm going to St. John's right now because, I know they're good in tournament atmospheres. I think they're on the right side of the bracket now with Nova missing Matt Hodge. She's done for the year. Nova doesn't have a ton of depth, especially in the front court. So I actually feel good about that. But for me, Silas looked pretty worn down on Saturday. He played 38 minutes again because Malachi was unplayable again. What happens again if you're probably playing Marquette again on Thursday, who since January 24th, Bartorik has them ranked 31st in the country. So, Marquette's played a lot better basketball here the last month and a half here. But I just worry about the depth of this team. Like, you can't expect Emory to play 30 minutes 3 straight nights and expect to win this thing. So, they need the bench right now. So for me, I'm gonna have to take St. John because I just don't also know what UConn team shows up here.
And you're right about Marquette. We'll get to that when we talk about our sleeper team in this tournament. We'll talk about that. I know I know we're kind of leading with the sleeper team in this tournament, but we'll talk about UConn after their loss on Saturday and Florida's win. They are now not a number 1 seed according to Joe Lunardi. They're a 2 seed, and the question really is what needs to happen for UConn to get a 1 seed? I think what has to happen is they got to win this tournament. Florida's got to lose in the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament. That's what's got to happen. If that doesn't, even if Florida loses in the semis, I still think they got the 1. Even though UConn beat them on the court, I still think they got the 1 seed. I think what's got to happen is UConn's got to win the Big East, and Florida has got to lose in the quarterfinals. For me, that's what has to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's their only shot here of getting it, of getting that number 1 seed here. So, more than likely you're going to Houston either way. You're going in the South region. So with that, I guess they're more likely going to match up with Florida. Now, this UConn team's got to get there first before they get the rematches the way they're playing. I have no idea what to expect from this group, but I'm with you. Florida's got to lose in the quarterfinals, and UConn's got to win the whole Big East tournament here to even have a chance to get back there. But again, as I said last week, that bracket sometimes filled out on Wednesday. It's filled out by tomorrow. So I don't know if that will even do it.
And you're right. Yeah, you said it. You said it right there. It's filled out by tomorrow. And so even if that happens, there's a good chance that UConn wouldn't even get a number 1 seed. Even if that happens, if say Florida loses to Missouri and UConn beats St. John's in the Garden of the Big East tournament, there's still you wouldn't be surprised the committee still gets Florida the 1 seed, even though UConn beat Florida on the court.
Yeah, they did, but again, the committee's lazy. I think it was 3 years ago now. The year Duquesne was a bid stealer, knocked off VCU, and Duquesne should have been put in as a 12, and they were like 11 because they didn't want to switch it out. And there was one more that was overseeded too that never should have been there. But again, the committee was just too lazy. They just didn't want to fix it, so they just stuck Duquesne as 11. So that's why I believe it's set in a couple days in advance. So yeah, but yeah, the team's not deserving to be a 1 seed at the moment, and they played their way out of it. So maybe they get lucky and Florida goes down here, but that Florida team's playing like a machine right now. So that's a tough ask.
They sure are. And we'll get into the Big East tournament, and we'll start with who is the team that is on the bubble or close to the bubble has to make a run this tournament. I think it's a pretty obvious answer. It's Seton Hall. Their loss on Friday night to St. John's probably moved them moving off the bubble. Now 20-11, 10-10 in conference play. So I think they're off. I think they got to win. They definitely got, to me, they got to win the whole thing. But they're the team. They're the team that has to make a run. The team that's close. They're the team that's close to the bubble that has to make a run in this tournament. For me, it's Seton Hall.
Yeah, I'm with you. Seton Hall. Tough one the other night. Of course they didn't shoot lights out like they did against UConn a week and a half ago. But yeah, Seton Hall, tough one there, especially because you would have moved up because all other 9 bubble teams lost on Saturday. This is by far the worst bubble I can remember. It is bad this year, and
We'll
you
get
got
to that.
Toronto.
We'll get to that bubble.
Yeah,
Got a team one
People
game
wanna
over
expand this thing.
500 in the tournament. Lenardi's the team.
Oh,
We'll get to that. We'll get to that one.
I can't wait to get to that team, and father and the head coach of the father there too.
Yeah.
What he's spewing out. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm with you. Seton Hall, I think they got to win this whole thing here. And look, they gave St. John's a battle for 2 games, and wouldn't be shocked if they could knock them off Friday night. I think that'd be great. They can knock them off in the Garden Friday night. So that's what I have to do. To get back in here and get in that turning picture. Because yeah, going 10-10 in this conference this year. Normally I'd say 20 wins is right at the cut line for Big East team to get in, but with how bad it's been this year, you got to do a little bit better than 10-10.
Exactly. Now, who is the sleeper team that could make a run in this tournament? And I know a lot of people are talking about Marquette, but I'm going to go Creighton because I like the coach. I just like the coach. And I saw them beat UConn a couple weeks ago in Stores. I like Greg McDermott. I like the coach. I'm going to go Creighton. And I think they just have the easiest path to being the 5 seed. They're going to play, they're going to play Seton Hall. So they got the easiest road. You look at Marquette, they got to play UConn again. You look at, or even Providence, they got to play. Providence has got to play St. John's. In the quarterfinals, Creighton plays Seton Hall. That's a very winnable game. So Creighton can win that game. And then they could. That's why I think they have the easiest chance to get to the semifinals than all the other lower seeds. So I'm going to go Creighton. Creighton is my sleeper to make a run in this tournament. Justin, who's your sleeper? I kind of think you kind of gave us a hint there early on. Who is your sleeper to make a run in the tournament? Who is your sleeper to make a run in the Big East tournament?
Yeah, that's a tough one because Creighton was up there because I think this is it for McDermott. So I think he retires at the end of the year. It's not.
Wow, a lot of these Big East coaches are going. McDermott, Kim English, Thad Matta.
Yeah, Thad Matta I think is on the way out too. So yeah, so some turnover here in the Big East coming up. So I was close. I did end up going with Marquette. I almost went Providence too, but that team looked like they quit on Saturday.
Oh yeah,
Kim the Ed talk after the game too. Not great there. I'd love to see Duncan Powell versus Bryce Hopkins.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. In the building, I would love to see round 3 of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. But I went with Marquette here because Barturk had them ranked 31 in the entire country since January 24th. They're playing better. The young team, Nigel James has come on. Adrian Stevens played well. Ben Golden actually played well, and they made him actually look like a decent paint defender, which UConn did the other day. So I like the way Marquette's playing. They're a tough team because of the way they play defense. They get a ton of deflections. They're very athletic. So I think it's a tough one. I could see UConn running out of the building Thursday night. I could see Marquette knocking them off again. But I'm one with the Golden Eagles because of the way they're playing. And you should Shaka teams ever quit too. So
no, they don't.
I think it's Marquette here.
Yeah, that's a good one, Marquette. I went Creighton. You went Marquette. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It should be interesting to see which one of those, if there is. There usually isn't a sleeper in the Big East tournament. Usually, this new iteration of the Big East is usually it's usually chalk. This Big East is big on chalk. I mean, the one upset I think I remember a couple of years ago, Providence upset Creighton, but really outside of that, there really isn't a ton of upsets in the Big East tournament anymore. It's a lot of chalk. So, and I do expect a lot of chalk this time. I do think it's going to be chalk, which is nice because if it is chalky, it's UConn. Villanova, Seton Hall, St. John's. If it is chalk, this is the one you really want chalk. But but if there are two teams that can make a run, it's definitely Creighton and Marquette because they've had down years, but they both have really good coaches. That's why they're definitely and Marquette's definitely playing well. You saw last week they blew out Providence and they beat UConn at home. So those are the two teams that those are the two sleeper teams that could make a run. But with UConn and St. John's 1-2, and they've split. And there's a chance, and if they play, it'll be Saturday night at the Garden in the final. And they haven't played for a Big East championship in over since 2000. That's the last time UConn and St. John's played for a Big East championship. You got the two coaches with Hurley and Pitino. Now it's been a very rough year for the Big East, but what would it mean if UConn and St. John's play in the final? And for me, if UConn and St. John's do play in the championship game, if UConn and St. John's do, to me it would be the most interesting Big East game since the last game of the old Big East when Georgetown and Syracuse played in the semifinals, and I was at that game too. To me, it'd be the most It would be the most interesting Big East game since that game. Since that game in 2013, and I think I said that last year when they were close to playing in the finals, and UConn lost, and it was St. John's Creighton. But if it's a UConn St. John's final, it'll be the most interesting Big East game since Syracuse played Georgetown in the 2013 semifinals.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with that. It's been a while, and the old Big East was the best conference tournament out there because of the Garden, how many fan bases flocked to that place, and like Syracuse owned rent there.
Oh,
UConn did. Georgetown fans to
Syracuse
show
fans
up.
Syracuse fans owned that building, owned it.
UConn, I think, did.
UConn did too. UConn did too.
did.
I'll give you that. Yes.
Yeah. Even Georgetown fans would show up because you got so many alumni bases that are in New York City, and they show up when their teams are good. So I'm with you. The old Big East is the best. Was the best conference tournament out there. It's gonna feel like an old Big East game if those two square off Saturday night, and it'd be awesome for the conference. And I think you get a ton of eyeballs because I still think when you get two Northeast New England teams like in the Garden on Saturday night, I think it's the best one out there. I still do. What that building could do. So I'm with you. I think it'd be a huge, meaningful game for the Big East, and it'd be great. And hopefully, UConn can knock them off, and hopefully, we get that. But yeah, it'll mean a lot for a down year in the Big East. That if you get UConn St. John's, which kind of was the thing you thought was going to happen pretty much since the summer, was UConn St. John's should pencil in for the final.
Yeah. It would be great for the Big East. Say you get Villanova. Villanova, UConn, St. John, Seton Hall. That'd be great for the Big East because you'd have four schools at the semifinals that would be pretty much less than 2 hours from, or 2 hours from Madison Square Garden. Four schools that are 2 hours from the Garden.
Yeah, it would be. It'd be great. So yeah, because usually there's always a Creighton in there or a Marquette in there, and Marquette usually brings a good amount of people. I don't think they were this year, but
Marquette and Creighton bring a decent. Marquette brings more, but Marquette and Creighton always bring a decent amount of people because they're good.
Yeah, they do. So, credit to those fan bases, but it's obviously not the same. And Xavier snuck in there once or twice as well. So, yeah, you don't usually get it. So I think it'd be awesome to have those four. I know Seton Hall's not a huge fan base, but those still bring people. They'll still show up. Well, obviously Nova, ton of alumni, UConn, and all the St. John fans that have come out of the basement here, in the last year.
You're very critical of those St. John's fans coming out of the woodwork.
They never showed up. They never showed up the last 25 years. So, now that Pitino's here, credit to them, but they'll go back to the hole that they were, that they've been stuck in, in 5 years when he retires.
Wow. You were not a fan of the St. John's fan base at all.
Oh, I can't stand them. They won the league one time and they think they own the place. Like, you've still been relevant the last 25 years. Just come on.
To you, what's worse, St. John's or Providence fans?
They're both so obnoxious.
Yeah.
I go right now, St. John's fans.
Yeah.
Providence fans know they're defeated at this point.
Exactly. Like the thing is even if they play St. John's on Thursday at the Garden, I don't think there's going to be a ton of their fans that show up. To be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see how many of their fans show up. I hope they get a decent amount and even like I assume you're in there Thursday. You're probably cheering for Providence, right? Like I assume the non-St. John fans are all going in there cheering for Providence.
I kind of want a St. John's UConn final, and because I'm going to be there. So
makes sense.
I want a St. John's UConn final.
I'm kind of hoping to get in the building Saturday night, so I'm kind of hoping St. John gets upset because it'll be a lot better on the wallet. So.
Oh, exactly. Say it's Seton Hall, UConn. It would definitely be better on the wallet.
Oh, it would. It definitely would. So I am. And I would like to see Bryce go down twice to Providence and kind of how it. It'd be a nice revenge too for Kim and the Friars on his way out here. Yeah. They handled that so wrong. St. Providence did with the English hot firing. What a joke.
I know.
That AD needs to go too.
Yeah, I mean to say before the season that he gets fired. I mean, come on. To say like before the season ends, like let him at least finish the season because you saw it Saturday night they lost to Georgetown. Ed Cooley.
Yeah, they did. That was not good. And that's a team right now that looks like they quit. And I know Kim's gonna go out there and he took a shot too at the Providence fans because you know how he's at George Mason. All the Providence fans want Josh Schertz to St. Louis coach, and George Mason beat him by like 20. So he ended the press conference by going, "Go Patriots." So threw a little shot at the Friar fans, I think, too. So not great. We'll see how much fight Providence has left, but be rooting for them to knock off St. John's there on Thursday.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. We'll see what we'll see what happens. But we got to move on to the ACC tournament. And the big question going to this tournament is are you taking Duke or the field? And I think it's obvious. Even though I just saw that Caleb Foster's going to be out, I'm still taking Duke because I mean, with Cam Boozer, with Isaiah Evans, I think Duke. I think Duke is clearly the best team in this conference. I think the ACC's improved this year, but I think Duke is clearly the best team. So I'm taking Duke. I'm taking Duke over the field. I'm going Duke over the field.
Yeah, for me, I am still going Duke. If Caleb Wilson was healthy for North Carolina, I'd probably take him, but now that he's not, broken thumb done for the year. I could see a scenario where Duke doesn't like throw it, but I could kind of see a scenario where Shire says, "All right, let's just get out of here without losing another guy and not totally go all in this week to win another ACC title." So I could maybe see that, but I'm still taking the field because North Carolina without Caleb Wilson. I think Virginia's a paper tiger. I think Miami's a paper tiger. Louisville definitely is. Like Clemson hasn't been playing well down the stretch. I like Brad Burnell, but like I just have a hard time seeing Duke still kind of lose to one of these teams. And I don't know if you saw. Shire said Caleb Foster's got a fractured foot, so it sounds
I
like
saw
he
that. Yeah.
might be done for the year.
Wow.
So that's maybe he's back for the Final Four. I don't totally know. He didn't give a timeline, but so I could see Duke kind of just mailing it in this week. But I still think even if they do that, they're still the best team. I think in this conference.
Yeah, and I do think so. I think Duke is clearly, even without Caleb Foster, I clearly think they are the best team in the conference. Now, a lot of bubble teams are actually playing today at the ACC tournament. Stanford, SMU, Virginia Tech. You got a lot of bubble teams that are playing today. Really, the big question is what bubble team needs to make a run in this tournament. And I'm gonna go with Virginia Tech. I think Virginia Tech has to. They have to win games in this tournament. I think they at least got to get to the quarterfinals to even be considered to get to the NCAA tournament. So for me, the bubble team is Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that's a good one. Tough one on Saturday. Could have used that one because you want Virginia Tech. I'm going with the Stanford Cardinal here. Got off to a good start this year. Kind of struggled here down the stretch a bit. Bad loss to could he really use that Cal win? Wake. But so I'm going to go with Stanford. I think they've done a nice job. I don't know if you've watched Emeka Corey yet. This kid is
I've heard of him.
Yeah,
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Quick guard. He torched North Carolina. Kid from Boston area. I don't know how Boston College didn't even offer that kid.
And let's say that's why that coach is fired right now.
Oh yeah. They're bad. They can't even get anybody to show up at that building. So
yeah.
We see where they go. Larry Naga's kid is one of the candidates. So
oh really? Wow.
Yeah, I guess he's a Clipper assistant. So I guess we'll see. I don't think that's a great hire, but we'll see. But yeah, back to Stanford here. I think they got to win a couple here. You're playing NC State team. If you win today, that's not playing great. A Virginia team that could shoot, but like I know they're 2 seed. I don't think they're any great shakes either. So there's definitely a couple here, and I went with Stanford. I think they need a couple here. They can get another kind of couple big ones here, get to the quarterfinals, feel good because their team definitely looking outside in right now.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely are. Now, who's your sleeper to make a run in this tournament? And I'm going to go with Louisville. They got 2 guys. If they can get one of their best, because Conwell's there, he's averaging 18 a game. If they get Michael Brown back, I think I'm going to say Louisville because they got 2 guys who average 18 points a game. So I'm going to, and as you said, Virginia's a paper tiger, Miami's a paper tiger, UNC doesn't have Caleb Wilson, Clemson can't score, so they could very easily make a run in this tournament, Louisville. So I'm going to say Louisville's my sleeper.
Yeah, Louisville's a good one. They could really shoot. If they're on, they could really shoot the basketball. So that's a good one. I went with former Kings assistant Luke Locks and his Florida State Seminoles. They're playing better here down the stretch. As I just mentioned with Duke, I think Duke's going to win this thing still, but the way they've been shooting the basketball at late Florida State, they're not a great defensive team, but I think they're getting a lot better. I've been kind of impressed with them because I did not think they had a great roster going in. I think Locks has done a pretty good job. So Robert McRae, Martin Somerville, 2 pretty decent guards here. So I think Florida State, the way they're playing, could make a little bit of run here. And if Duke does maybe mail it in, I could see Florida State maybe knocking them off here.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I think Florida State, they're not even in the tournament, right? They're not even considered.
No, they're not. No, they got to win the whole thing to get in.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see them beating Duke. It's hard for me to see Florida State beating Duke. now we'll go to our prediction for the finals of this tournament, and I'm going to go Duke over Louisville. We're going to go Duke over Louisville in the final.
I'm going Duke over Miami. They didn't even play in the regular season. What a joke that is. Can't even play every team in your conference. What a it's a joke of
And
a
some
week here.
teams play
But
each other
I'm gonna
twice.
say,
Like I saw Duke play Louisville twice.
yeah, Duke played Louisville twice, North Carolina. So you play like three teams twice, but then that means you don't play one team one time. So it's pretty ridiculous, and that's why these leagues have gotten too big and should go back to the old ways, but they never will. So but yeah, it's so I'm gonna go with Duke Miami. First time they'll meet all year, and John Lucas done a nice job. I didn't know about the roster. I still don't think they're that great, but they've done better than I thought this year.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. I think we both think Duke is going to win the ACC tournament. Now moving on to the Big Ten tournament, and we'll start with the bubble team that needs to make a run. And I think for me, it's Indiana. Indiana. They got to get to. I think they got to get to at least win for their first two rounds, and then they got to at least get to the quarters, or even beat Nebraska in the quarterfinals. So for me, it's Indiana who's got to make a run in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm with you with Indiana. They got to go on a run here. They got to knock off a Purdue team that's not playing great basketball, being exposed at the frauds that they are. And Nebraska is a beatable team. They're not explosive. They're not a ton of athletes, so I could see Indiana knocking them off. They really need to go on a run here. They got to win a couple. So I'm with you. If they knock Purdue off, they can knock Nebraska off. I think they're feeling. You feel pretty good because again, these bubble teams can't get out of their own way. So, a couple quality wins here for Indiana would do them a lot of good.
Alrighty, and who is the sleeper team in this tournament? And I think it's pretty obvious. I'm going to go with Wisconsin because they beat the best team. They beat Michigan in their house, so I'm going to go Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm going with the Badgers too here. This is a tough one. Because I like the way UCLA is playing, but they never travel well offside the West Coast. So I do like the way Wisconsin's playing. In a big win, going at Mackey, winning that game as well here. So had a stumble against Oregon, which was odd, but second, on the West Coast trip here. But team really can shoot the basketball. Nick Boyd, John Blackwell, two really good players. So I could see him knocking off in Illinois here. And even Michigan, if they shoot the lights out again like they did the first time around.
Yeah. They definitely could. Now we will go to our prediction for the conference championship in the Big Ten, and I'm going to go with the all Michigan final for me. I'm going Michigan State over. I'm going Michigan over Michigan State. I like the way Tom Izzo's squad has played, especially played defense this year. They played well against Michigan. They gave Michigan a lot. They played well against Michigan at Michigan on Sunday. So I like Jeremy Fears, the point guard too. So I'm going Michigan over Michigan State in the final.
Yeah, I'm going Michigan State too for the third go around here. I almost won Nebraska as well, but I think Michigan State to the Cali could be a little bit too much for him. So yeah, Jeremy Fears is a really good point guard. Scoring wise for Michigan State, it's always kind of a question mark, but they play really good defense. Tough team. So as long as Jeremy Fears is, not intentionally trying to trip somebody or doing something else, that warrants a flagrant. I think Michigan State's chances to play Michigan, but yeah, I got the Wolverines as well winning this thing.
We will go down to the SEC tournament, and we'll get to our bubble team that needs to make a run. And for me, it's the team that has one game over 500, and that's Auburn with Stephen Pearl as the head coach. If they got to win, tomorrow. I think they got to win on Thursday and at least get to the quarterfinals to get into the tournament, to secure their place in the tournament. But they are one of Lenardi's last four in, even at 16 and 15, which is kind of sad. But that I'm going to go Auburn. Auburn is my team that needs to make a run in this tournament.
Yeah, Auburn for me as well here. I almost went Oklahoma, but I think they got to win the whole thing and to get there. So I went with Auburn too. Got to meet Mississippi State this time around. Tomorrow. Yeah, Nate Met. I guess he's a game time decision right now, but he's coming off high ankle sprain. I don't know if he's going to go. Tennessee's beatable if Nate Met's not there, and I think Vandy's. I think Vandy's a good team, but I could see him knocking off them too. So I'm with you. I think Auburn here's got to go on a run. Got to probably at least get to semifinals. But for me, we'll get to. Actually, I'll save it from we get to them. What I need to see from them to get in.
Yep, and we'll go to our sleeper team, and I'm going to go with the team also that beat the best team, and I'm going to go Missouri. And the only reason why I know it was early in the year, they beat Florida. That's why I got them as my sleeper team in the SEC tournament? Who's your sleeper team in the SEC tournament?
I'm going with Georgia because they've already knocked off Bama and Arkansas. They could really shoot the basketball. Not a great defensive team, but they play up tempo. Bama and Arkansas will do that, and I think they could beat them in a track meet. So the SEC this year defensively is not great outside of Florida and Tennessee. So a lot of high scoring games here, and I think Georgia, the way they could shoot the basketball, could provide some problems here. And I would not be surprised to see them end up in the SEC championship game.
All righty, and what's your pick? Your pick for the final? I'm going chalk here. I'm going Florida, Alabama. I think Alabama's got really good guard play, and Florida is clearly over the last couple of weeks has shown you why they are clearly the best team in the SEC. So I'm going Florida over Alabama.
Yeah, I'm glad Florida as well here. I'm going to take John Calipari Razorbacks here. I think they do get by Bama, or I think Georgia actually knocks off Bama here, and Arkansas beats Georgia in the semifinals. So, I like the way Arkansas is playing. Darius Acuff should be back. I do like their guards. I like Malik Thomas as well. So, Cal's, that team's gotten a lot better. They're not. It's probably one of Cal's worst defensive teams, I think, but offensively, I think it's one of his better ones that he's had in a while. So I'm going with the Razorbacks, but to go to fall to Todd Golden's Gators that are playing really good basketball right now.
Yeah, they definitely are. Todd Golden, they're looking really, really good. They're looking better than they did when they played UConn at the Garden.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Even though they had a tough schedule, they were still pretty good in those days. But they were looking like a top team, like a true number one seed. With the way they're playing, they definitely are. Now we'll move on to the Big 12 tournament, and first we will go to our team on the bubble that needs to make a run in this tournament, and I'm gonna go with. It's hard, but I'm gonna go Cincinnati. I'm gonna go Cincinnati. If they could somehow beat UCF, and then they could or Utah, wherever they play in the first round, and then beat UCF, and then beat Arizona, I think that there's a good chance they can get a bid. So for me, the team on the bubble is Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm with you there with Cincinnati. Yeah, they're playing Utah here coming up in a little bit. And yeah, I think they're a team because I think UCF's safely in at this point. West Virginia, I think's pretty safe to get in this thing as well. So I think Cincinnati's the one here. They've been, they got the win against Kansas on the road here. They've been very hit or miss here, but Wes Miller's done a pretty good job here to try to save his job here of late. So I'm with you. I think Cincinnati's got to do some damage. I think, having Jizzle James back has really helped their offense. They're a really good defensive team. I think they're still in the top 15 defensively, but offensively, they've really struggled at times.
Yeah, they definitely have. They definitely have. Kind of the same team as was with Mick. Even though Mick's gone, they're still a good defensive team, not as good of an offensive team.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, they are. They're that hard-nosed defensive team, going to grind you down. So yeah, they've been really good defensively. I'd love to see him come back if but I guess Willis Miller may have saved his job the last couple of weeks. So, but yeah, I wish Mick would go back. I miss his team. He fits that culture much better.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, he definitely fits that culture at Cincinnati. He definitely did, and did a really good job there. I will admit that. Even though they had a rivalry with UConn, he did a really good job. At Cincinnati. Now we will go to our sleeper team in the Big 12 tournament, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go TCU here. They beat Florida early in the year. They played with the top teams in the league, and they got a good coach in JB Dixon. I'm going TCU as my sleeper team in the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, I like that one. I like TCU as well here. They're playing well. They're one of the more confusing teams to figure out because they have a loss to New Orleans on opening night. They still beat Florida. Yeah. But Jamie Dixon's an unbelievable coach. He's done a great job there. And yeah, besides like a 1-point loss at UCF back in mid-February, they've been playing some great basketball. I think 8-9, 9-10, something like that. They've been playing really good basketball here of late. So I really like this team. And I like you got Kansas potentially. You got Houston that, I think it's not the same Houston team, so I definitely think it's a team that could go on a run here. And Pittsburgh, I don't know why they forced them out because that program's been a turnstile. That program's been a debacle ever since.
Absolute
that was a mistake.
Yeah, absolute disaster. They could not have been a bigger disaster since Pittsburgh let Jamie Dixon go. So now with Selection Sunday and we do this every year with Selection Sunday being on Sunday. We play a game every year, in or out, and Justin, I'll pick 10 teams, and Justin will tell you if he has them in the tournament or out of the tournament. So we'll do it this year, and it's I think it's a pretty obvious start, and we're going to start with Auburn, the team 1 game over 500, 1 game over 500, 7-11. I know kind of where you're going here with Stephen Pearl's squad. 1 game over 500, 7-11 in the SEC. Justin, Auburn, in or out?
Oh, not even like in my, they're like first 12 out discussion right now. I need to
Wow.
see a team. For me to put them in the field, they have to be at least 5 games over 500. It's usually my rule. They need 4 wins here in the SEC tournament to do that. I don't care that they had one of the toughest schedules in the country. You're 4-12 against quad one. That's 25%. When you have 16 opportunities, you better win more than 4 games. So I'm tired of the whining. They have the Q3 loss as well here. The Ole Miss, which is not great. So, and only 3-2 against quad two. That's not great either. So, way out. I don't care what Bruce Pearl says. If he's on the desk on Sunday during the Selection Sunday show and he's complaining about Auburn, I'm just going to turn it off and just I, it's such, and and this kid complaining about the schedule. Well, go blame your father then. Go blame him for retiring in October then and giving you the schedule. So it's ridiculous. They're 1 game over 500 should not get you anywhere near it. So I don't care what their schedule is. So out.
All righty. We'll move on to Indiana. I think they're right now they're one of Lenardi's last 4 out. Right now, 18-13, 9-11. Justin, in or out for Indiana?
Next 4 out. I know Nets 37 right now, which is pretty good. The WAP's 47. The wins above bubble. I think they had to beat Ohio State on Saturday to put themselves kind of in the first 4 conversation for me. They've had 14 opportunities in quad one. You've won 3 of them. You got to do better than that. So, and they're also 3-2 in quad two. So, they got to do some damage here, in the Big Ten tournament. So, they got to put them in. They got to beat Purdue in Nebraska here, in the next couple of days in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, it looks. Yeah, I agree with you. They definitely need to do some work in the Big Ten tournament. Now we'll get to a team that's playing tonight for the West Coast Conference title, and that's Santa Clara. They upset St. Mary's last night. They play Gonzaga tonight. You look at a team like Santa Clara playing for the West Coast Conference title right now. I think their record is 26-7, 15-3 in the league, playing Gonzaga for the championship. One of Lenardi's first 4 in. Santa Clara, in or out?
I got them in right now. One if I against Q1's not great, but 6-1 in quad two. Bad loss to Loyola Chicago. That really could hurt because that's a quad 4 loss right now. Their net's 42. The wins above bubble is 41, so that's pretty good. I think after they beat St. Mary's last night, I feel pretty good that this team's going to get in. I hope they do because that's a fun team. Hurt Sendak's a really good coach. Former Rick Pitino assistant at Providence. I don't know if he'd move cross country, but if I'm Providence, I give him a call. That guy just wins wherever he goes. So Hurt Sendak's done a really good job. I like that Santa Clara team. They should be in the field right now.
All righty. We got another team in Lenardi's first 4 in the ACC, and that is SMU. They played Syracuse today in the ACC tournament in the 11-14 game. SMU 19-12, 8-10 in the ACC tournament. In or out?
I do have them right now in the last 4 in.
Oh wow!
At the moment, yeah. They're just it's kind of hard this year with some of these bubble teams and not playing great because usually I'm not a proponent of teams backing their way in the field, but because they've lost 4 out of they lost 4 straight, have lost 5 of 7 down the stretch here. So I don't usually love that, but it's pretty tough, and I think they've done enough here. Their net's 39 right now, so I do have them as a last 4 in at the moment. But hey, if you lose today against Syracuse, I think I'd have to take them out because that'd be a quad 3 losses.
If they lose to Syracuse,
it would be a
they're
quad
done.
3 loss.
They got to be done if they lose to Syracuse. Syracuse is terrible. If they lose to Syracuse, they're done.
Yeah, I'm with you. So right now, those are the last 4 in, but that could change the loss of that.
All righty, we got VCU 24-7 overall, 15-3 in the A10. Lenardi still has one of them as his first 4 in. VCU, in or out?
I have them as the last 4 in right now. 2-5 against quad 1, 3-2 in quad 2. Been playing well down the stretch here. Their wins above bubble is 42nd in the country right now. That's pretty good. As long as they get the ATEP championship game, which I think they will, I think they're pretty safely in the field here. If they do go down early in the A10 tournament, I think they're, might be a couple of restless nights in Richmond, but as long as they get to the A10 title, I think they're in pretty good shape here.
All righty. So we will move. We'll go back to the ACC and we'll get to Virginia Tech. Knights, the same record pretty much the identical record as SMU. 19-12, 8-10 in ACC play for Virginia Tech. Right now, in or out?
I got them next four out right now. The Nets 53. They're only 2-10 against quad one. They got to do a little bit better than that. I haven't loved the way they played down the stretch here either. The quad two victories, they're 6-2, so that's better. But another team not doing a ton down the stretch here. The wins above bubble is 46, which is which is a little bit back there, but they got to do some damage here. I think they have to get to the semis to feel better about themselves. But I think they got to at least get to there to feel good. So right now, the next four out.
Next four out. We'll stay in the ACC with Stanford. They're 20-11, playing well now. 20-11, you said earlier. 20-11 overall. 9-9 in ACC play. Right now, Justin, Stanford in or out?
I have Stanford first four out. The Nets 59. It's not great. They're 5-6 against Q1, 4-2 against Quad 3. But the thing that really puts them out right now is they have 3 losses against Q3, and that's not great. So just like them, just like Virginia Tech, they got to get some damage done here in this ACC tournament. Their wins above bubble is 49th, which is kind of back there too for a bubble team. So that's not putting them in great shape as well. So their team here that's got to do some damage in the ACC tournament. So they can do that. They're probably gonna be in.
Alrighty, New Mexico. They're one of Lenardi's first four out. 22-9, 13-7 in the Mountain West. Justin, New Mexico, in or out?
I have the next four out right now. Their last 2 games they haven't played well. They've lost both of those. They've lost 3 or 4 here going in. 2-6 against quad 1, 6-1 against quad 2. They do have a quad 3 loss as well here. The Mountain West might be a one big lead this year, so I think for them they kind of get in. San Diego State would be a nice win, but I think they have to probably win the Mountain West to get in here. So I think they got to win it because I think Mountain West is probably only a one bid league this year.
Alrighty. All right, we'll go to Cincinnati right now. 17-14, 9-9 in the Big 12. One of Lenardi's next four out. Justin, Cincinnati, in or out?
I have them out right now to 17-14. Like I said to Auburn, for me to put them in the field, they got to be like 5 games over 500 for me. 3-11 against Q1. You got to do better than that when you have 14 opportunities and 2-6 in quad 2. That's not much better either. So they got to go on a run here. They have a quad 4, or sorry, they're 5-2 against quad 2. But they have a quad 4. They have a Q4 loss against Eastern Michigan. I believe a couple guys are sick that day, so you might be able to throw that thing out. But they're WAP 63, which is not great. I mean, it's the lowest of all these bubble teams here. So I have them right now, kind of out of the field. They got to at least probably get to the Big 12 finals for me to feel good about them.
All right, we'll wrap up with Cal, 21-10, 9-9 in the ACC. Cal, it's one of Lenardi's next four out. Cal, in or out?
I have them next four as well here. 4-6 against Q1, Q2. They're 2-3. That Pitt loss recently kind of hurts for them. They gotta try to win at least a couple games here. In the ACC tournament. You can beat Florida State tomorrow, get Duke. I think that might do enough. And hey, if you get like a North Carolina, Clemson too, knock them off and get to the finals, I think that would do enough for them because that would give them that I think that would they'll give them 3 more or 2 more quad 1 wins, which I think would be enough.
Yeah, yep. So you got a lot of outs. You got Auburn. You were not happy. You were not an Auburn guy. You were not an Auburn out. Even though Lenardi has got him in at 16-15, Lenardi's got him in. Got Indiana out. You were back in your mid-major with Santa Clara. You like the mid-majors. You still, even in the NIL days, even the mid-majors had such a poor showing in last year's tournament. We'll get to that next week when you'll be picking them. When I'll be a disagreement, I won't be picking a lot of mid-majors in my bracket. I'll give you that right now because of the poor showing they had last week. But yeah, they like these mid-majors. You got Santa Clara in, even if they lose tonight. You got Santa Clara in the tournament. You got SMU. You got SMU's ACC teams. You got SMU there. You got VCU in the tournament. So, but you got Virginia Tech out, Indiana out, Stanford out, even New Mexico. You got New Mexico out, Cincinnati out, and Cal out. So you got a lot of outs there. But I picked more teams towards the bottom of the bubble. So to be fair, I picked teams more towards the bottom. So I expect you to have more out than in. But here's the we talk about the bubble teams, and here's the question comes up about Miami, Ohio. They're 31-0, they're undefeated. The big question is do they need to win the MAC to get into the tournament?
No, they shouldn't. They went 31-0. I don't
Back in those
care.
mid majors.
Yeah, like this is ridiculous that they haven't. I don't. They beat who was on their schedule. I get it. It's the MAC. It's not great. I get their non-con was disappointing. But still, this team went undefeated in conference or all season, which is impossible to do. We rarely see it, and we're sitting here discussing that Auburn, that's one game over 500, should be in over them. I think it's ridiculous. I think what Bruce Pearl said about him is a joke, and he should be off the desk because it's a conflict of interest. This team did what it had to do all year, and because maybe they lose one game to Akron, which is a very good team. If that keeps them out of the bubble, then this thing is an absolute joke, and we really need to start questioning how we do this thing because I don't care. They're 31-0. Give them some respect.
Yeah, even though they really haven't beaten anyone, they still. If you go the season undefeated, you go through the entire season undefeated in Division One basketball. You should make the tournament.
Yeah, you should. You absolutely should. That's a good team. They got a couple. Peter Sater. I saw him a couple weeks ago. That kid's probably an overseas guy. They lost one of their guards. I don't know if he's gonna be back to the tournament or not. I think he's coming off a foot injury. I don't know if he's gonna be back. I hope that doesn't keep him out if they do lose in the MAC championship game in Akron. So that would be a great game between play Saturday night, Akron and Miami, Ohio. But yeah, it's a joke. They played who they had to play in front of them. So I think it's an absolute joke, and it'd be such a bad look because this is what makes the NCAA tournament so fun is these mid majors. I know last year they didn't do it. I'm probably gonna go pretty chalky this year. I never do, but I think I'm gonna have to. I have my eye on a couple of teams. Miami, Ohio. I'll be honest. I don't think they're one of them, but I still think they're a good team. They run some really fun sets, so I think they deserve to be in. I think it should be such a bad look if this team's held out.
Yeah, it would be. I'd agree. It would definitely be a bad look if they are left out. Now, to wrap up the show, we're going to talk about the number one seeds, and I think three of them pretty much have it locked up. I think Duke's got it locked up. I think that Michigan's got it locked up, and I think Arizona. Those three have it locked up, and I don't think it matters what they do in their conference tournament. I think the one team it does is Florida, but if Florida at least gets to their semifinal, I think they're good. I think they're good. The only thing, as we said earlier, that could happen, that could change things. Say Uconn wins the Big East tournament, and Florida loses in the this quarterfinals of the SEC tournament. Outside of that, I can't see anyone else getting a one seed, and I think it's going to be pretty obvious. I think it's going to be Michigan, Florida, Duke, and Arizona getting those one seeds.
Yeah, I'm with you right now. I think those four or three definitely locked up in Florida. Definitely, if they can win just one game on Friday, they're looking pretty good, and I think they do probably get that one seed if UConn goes on a run here and wins the Big East. So, with their body of work, so I'm with you. I think the three are pretty locked up. It'll be interesting now with that Caleb Foster injury. If Michigan does win the Big Ten, if Michigan flips and gets the number one overall seed, so that'll be kind of interesting too how the committee handles that Caleb Foster injury.
Yeah, it would be. It would be. Yeah, it would be. But in terms of the overall number one seed, I mean, I think Duke's going to get a one seed anyway. But yeah, the overall number one seed, because Caleb Foster is a loss. He's their point guard. That's a loss there. So yeah, that's definitely significant if he's out in terms of them getting a one seed.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they flip flop that. But yeah, right now I'm with you. The one seed that might have some movement here is Florida, and they go down to Missouri or Kentucky on Friday. I think that's the only one that would have some movement right now.
Yeah, I agree there. I think that's where the movement would be. All righty, so that's going to wrap up this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. But we will be back next week, previewing the NCAA tournament, recapping free agency, and recapping the World Baseball Classic. Have a great weekend, everyone.